which surprised me so much. I'm going to read it out. I'm not so then you can guess who it's from. Right? The quote is, one of the key problems today is that politics is such a disgrace. Good people don't go into government. Who do you think said that?
Say it again.
I'll read it again. One of the key problems today is that politics is such a disgrace. Good people don't go into government.
It wasn't Trump, was it?
Trump. Yeah. It was Donald Trump.
It was? I thought, who couldn't it be?
Turned out he was right.
If it's one thing Trump is known for, it's been ironic.
If only he understood what the word meant.
The much more believable one was one that went, I never drink coffee at lunch. It keeps me awake in the afternoon. That was more like him. And that was actually Ronald Reagan, but that sounded like him. Anyway, that's introduced the first slide I said. So, could we have Aaron come to the front and give me that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. So I'm going to be speaking about Kesh's speech entitled Imagine, in which she beautifully described to us her home country and took us on a virtual tour, as it were, of various places in Sri Lanka. Just to remind us of what the speech objectives were that Kesh wanted us to focus on, there were 4 different main objectives that I was focusing on. The overall objective is to focus on language, to focus on the words that we use in the speech itself. So the 4 specific things that I was focused on, I'll go through them one at a time, and for each one, mention what I liked about the speech, and if there are things to work on, mention that as well. So the first is in terms of the words, sentences, and paragraphs that we use, that things should be short. And I felt that Kesh did a very good job of using both short words and sentences, as well as having a paragraph structure that was very clear. That it was very clear that the speech overall was organized well. It was clear when we were going from one topic or one place to the next. It wasn't just one long ramble, but it actually was quite organized. I think that there was one point near the beginning, a list of facts with regards to the country that maybe lacked a little bit that structure, but overall I think that the structure was very clear and organized, and that helped us be a part of this virtual tour. The second topic is in terms of the language that we use, trying to use very vivid words, vivid verbs, adjectives, and nouns. And I think that was really, I think personally, the strong point of the speech, that Kesh spoke in a very active voice, starting from the very title of the speech itself. When I saw Imagine, ... So all of a sudden it took me to all sorts of places, to the song Imagine, to imagining all sorts of other realities, to meditation, to visual imagery, and all sorts of things like that. So I think that even from the very title itself, we were taken to that type of place. And I think that also the plan was as well, with the little of the pictures that we saw at the beginning, was also to have that be a very vivid part of the speech. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. I think also with the words they used, there was also very strong. For example, something like immerse yourself, imagine, close your eyes, smell the tea on the plantation. Those are very vivid words, and I think that was a very big strong point of the speech. With regards to rhetorical devices, so one that you focused on very much, and I think was also quite a strong point, was triads. Triads are use of a group of 3 words to describe something. So I'll give a couple of examples that she used. For example, describing the beauty, charm, and adventure. Or another one was talking about adventure, discovery, country, elephants, lions, and tigers. So I think that was something that was a real strong point in the speech. One thing that I would recommend for the future is using other devices as well. Used a bit of similes, for example, describing the Market Street as like Oxford Street, so that we'd understand, or describing the Hoppers, I believe it was, as like a pancake. In other words, things that were supposed to help us understand what exactly was going on in the speech. One thing that I will mention as an overall with regards to the speech, not really focused on language, but that I was very impressed with how you were able to take the technical difficulties and move on from it and sort of readjust your speech. I think that with regards to the title, the topic of taking us on this tour, that even though it obviously harmed you, you were focused, you were trying to be able to get the pictures to work, that it could give you this opportunity to focus more on the imagination. To instead of describing however many places it was, 6 or 7, to instead focus on 3 or 4 and really do that in a much more slower and methodical way. And thank you very much.
Okay, so second I'd like to call Deepesh to give an information on power and speech.
Toastmaster for Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Param gave a speech to us titled Beyond the Comfort Zone. And he gave us his 4th speech from the communication manual. So I thought I had a really clear structure in his speech. And again, actually, the use of 3s, which Alan picked up on, I think was littered throughout Param's speech as well. So the main structure was 3 points were very clear. He also had other uses of 3s throughout his speech. So examples: go for it today, don't wait, just go for it. One recommendation though is that you perhaps used repetition instead of, or as a substitute for filler words, and there are instances where repetition may potentially not be necessary, but instead you could use pause. Yes, I sort of thought the structure and the content was really clear, and in particular where you asked us to focus on how clear and how orderly it was. I think for me, sitting back, it was very clear. I understood the message of what you were trying to get across in those 3 points. I also thought the use of your voice was quite passionate, and it definitely did come across, especially when you talk about your examples and how your fear of your moustache and people's opinions of that came across. But one thing I guess with the use of your voice was there was instances where potentially it was too quick and you could slow down at certain points. Lastly, your awareness of the audience. So when at the beginning you had you saw the audience were looking at something behind you, instead of carrying on, you waited, you got the audience's attention, and then you carried on again with your speech. Another, I guess, last recommendation for me, something I think I've been told in the past as well, is to not kind of move around too much without purpose. And I think there were instances where you potentially were leaning towards one side or the other without purpose. So just be conscious of how you move around. So in conclusion, I thought you met your kind of core objectives around the structure. I thought you could use your voice and other tools in the future which you could potentially work. But overall, really good, really well come across. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to call our 3rd evaluator, David, to give his evaluation on Dennis' speech. Okay, thank you. I'd like to get one thing out of the way very quickly. In my introduction, I said that the objective of Dennis's speeches was all about body language. Let's get rid of that, because what Dennis did, he stood to one side, and most of the movement he did was pointing a clicker at the screen. So I think if I evaluate the speech on that objective, there's so much that it didn't do. But
there was so much in the speech about evaluation, which is such an important topic. So I'm going to get rid of that objective and say the objective is all about how to give a good evaluation, never mind the body language, because he had the PowerPoint and standing to one side. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, and of course Dennis. I've heard this speech before from Dennis, or a similar one, how to give a good evaluation. In this club we're very strong on giving evaluations, and it's one of the most difficult things to do. I've been in the club for over 6 years, and I still dread it every time I get up to speak. And I work on it and work on it. And one thing I would commend and admire Dennis for is constantly looking to understand, to define and give better evaluations. A huge commendation on that. He said that a good evaluation can elevate you socially, and that the evaluator is your friend, and a good evaluation has huge benefits. Dennis started off by telling us what we don't do most of the time. We don't give good evaluations. And then the presentation I felt was quite a technical thing, and only partially went the way to explain how to give a good evaluation. Very much define what is an evaluation, and it gave us half a definition. You evaluate what you see, what you hear, and what you feel. And then to cover the rest of it, there's the value of the speech, the purpose of the speech, and did the speech meet the objectives of the speech. We also defined it as giving positive observations and comments, which again is only a partial definition. The rest of it is to give positive observations and comments, then define areas which the evaluator thinks could be improved, give examples of how that could be improved, and then leave the speaker wanting to come back and do it more. There was a huge amount of positivity in that. And in the definitions that he gave, that Dennis gave, and the fact that I would say this Toastmasters is such a journey that this speech has improved 100% since the first time we get it. My biggest recommendation, and the positive thing that I would say to you, is going to, as the next level, to look for the emotional connection in what the speaker's doing and the purpose of the speech. Less on the technicalities of it, more on the feelings, more on the objectives and purposes. That will be the next stage of the improvement of this speech. So next time, how to give a good evaluation. Not define the evaluation, how to give it. Give examples of good evaluations. Mr. Toastmaster.
Last but not least, I'd like to call Jill to come forward to give her evaluation on Natalie's speech.
I've asked for an extra minute to go on the timing because it's a 10-minute speech and deserves an extra minute. Especially with Nazreen giving this talk, I think maybe the evaluations will be something that she needs to pick up on before then. Ladies and gentlemen, and Nazreen. Nazreen has, don't you all agree, the most lovely manner about her. You know, if she says sort of eat your sandwich, I'll eat my sandwich. A gentle way of coming over but taking the stage, smiling, and that beautiful crisp way of speaking. So I defy you not to listen, even though it's very quiet, I can actually hear every word. And there aren't many speakers that do that. A lot have tremendous content, but the way they say it, you think, oh, I'm going to cut off from that. If I may, and she has asked me to come up with a lot of evaluations, I will do that, but it's not in any way decrying how good that speech was. I felt the biggest problem with it is that I wanted to throw those overheads out of the window. I thought they were actually of no value, and what is more, I thought they detracted from Nazreen saying, this is me, I am this company, I'm the one to believe in, you believe in me, nothing that's there, No distractions, because also with those overheads, what they seemed to do was contain the question, not the answer. So those that sum up, a will is, ... at the end. It may have been worthwhile at the end having just a sum up one. This is what we've covered, this is what I suggest. And because you were using it, you were actually looking at the screen. And I thought, again, you needed every ounce of your being to sell yourself. And on that, what a waste of the first few minutes. If you're getting somebody to introduce you, it's for them to say about you, about the company, anything that you want. I always write my own, by the way. I always write my own spiel saying how wonderful I am to the person to read out, and then shows shock, surprise. But there's a time so that you can go in and say, again, I'm here, pay attention, now this is it. We're talking about something serious. I loved, one of the overheads was a humorous one, but I felt you gave two examples, and you gave one about the man with two wives, and the baby, I mean the other one. Please give the one that's harder first, and then cheer people up, because I was in a nice cheery mood, and then suddenly, oh God, you're talking about something really, really tough. So just for me, just change that. I would have loved to, and a recommendation for anybody using overheads, do ask somebody to help. You can always use somebody to listen to your speech once and to do all the hard work. So if it goes wrong, you can blame them. And there's no distractions, no, and as Kesha will be aware, there's no taking your mind off it. And I suppose the main thing was, I thought, what is this about? And I wanted you to sell you. And you thanked people, and you said what you were saying at the end. What was your main selling point? Was it, here's the company? And by the way, when you gave the company, the first thing you said about it was where it was situated. I don't want to know that. Why this company? Why should I use you rather than you? And it wasn't because you're in Harrow, it's because you're a better, more reliable, good firm. What they want to see is reliability. I want to trust you, and you've got the face for it to trust me. Leave them with that. I want you to call us. You'll see that we're worth what you're paying. Go for it. But I have to say, very good luck. I think it's a daunting task. Well up to it, Nazreen, and I look forward to seeing your smiling face saying how well you've done.
So when I was up here a few seconds or a couple of minutes ago, I said last but not least. That was entirely incorrect because we have our topics evaluators to come and give the evaluation for the table topics. So I'd like to invite Peter to the stage.
At least I got it done. We've got quite a few guests here this evening, and 4 of them came up and spoke spontaneously.
Yay!
So I'm going to applaud them.